how am I going to say, how am I going to distinguish between you two guys? Um, when I say Ethan, it's going to be both of you. So I'm going to call you Mr. Hunt.
All right.
That'll be easy for me.
You're listening to the Film Yappers, the podcast where two film buffs, with too many opinions and just enough credentials, dive deep into the movies you love. The ones you hate, the ones you pretend to have seen, or the ones you are ashamed to admit that you love. From cult classics to fresh releases, they break down what works, what doesn't, and why it matters, one reel at a time. Dr. William Wells, intellectual historian and culture critic, is joined by his co-host and independent filmmaker Ethan Korpinen. Yappers, take it away.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Logophile presents the Film Yappers, and our first interview of our show is with the very talented short film director of some horror masterpieces like Remnants and Night Whispers, the illustrious Ethan Hunt. Welcome, Ethan. Glad to have you with us. And
Glad to be
we're
here.
looking
Thank
forward
you.
to having some fun discussion here. Nothing too uptight or formal, but we'll try to do what we can to ferret out all of your secrets. So, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing good. Yeah.
Doing
Can't
good. Try
complain.
to stay warm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it cold where you guys are?
Yes. I'm in Georgia right now. We have like an ice storm coming our way. So like it might start snowing in the next couple days, icy roads and all that. So I'm just kind of bracing for that.
Same
So
here in Dallas. We're looking at the same. It's the same storm system. It's going to hit most of the southeast, and they're saying we could have ice for 4 days straight. I'm really hoping
Wow.
that
really
doesn't
looking
happen
forward to
because
that.
people around here go crazy when that
Mhm.
happens. But maybe we'll get snow and a school day off out of it. I'm hoping. Ethan, why don't you, just for our viewers and friends of the show, tell us a little bit about yourself and what where you are now in your career, what you're doing, and maybe what you're up to lately.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Ethan, and I am a filmmaker, and I grew up in Seattle, but now I'm here down in Los Angeles because I go to school at USC, their School of Cinematic Arts program, where I study film production there. And horror is kind of my thing. Um, that is what I want to do. One day, I hope to be directing horror features. I know that's a very common goal, but pretty sure that's what I would like to do. Um, but yeah, I think I'll just say I have directed some shorts in the past, um, and they are up online if anyone wants to check them out. But yeah, the end goal
We
is
have
definitely a
recommended
feature.
several of them to
Oh,
Mhm.
really?
our
Yeah.
viewers and friends, and yeah,
Yeah, especially Night Whispers. That's the first one of yours that I saw. In fact, he actually sent it to me. He just kind of stumbled upon it one day. He was like, "Dude, you got to check this out, man. This like I was watching this by myself and it just scared the crap out of me. I was like, all right, watch it, and it was really good. I just from the opening shot, I already felt kind of just on edge, and I feel like all of your films kind of just have this really kind of eerie and kind of brooding atmosphere. And they're just kind of devoid of sound, and they're
mm,
just heavy on shadow. And
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
I'm a
that's
huge
definitely my
fan.
style. Thank you. Yeah, I think atmosphere is so much more powerful than like gore or
Totally.
even like a jump
100%.
scare. So that is personally my style. I love to create that sense of dread.
Mhm.
Cause like gore, that's gonna like get you for maybe like a couple seconds, a jump scare, maybe a couple seconds. But if you can create some atmosphere, I feel like that works even better.
Right. It lingers, like
Yeah,
it almost gives you the feeling or the sense while you're watching it that you, like the character, are not safe, especially if you're watching it
exactly. Yeah.
alone. I found that my favorite horror films like Cure or Hereditary just kind of leave me with that feeling like, just I'm thinking about them days after I see them. And it's not just
Yeah.
like, oh, that was like a fun experience. This is how I feel about like a lot of kind of more mainstream horror films. Like I'll watch it in the theater and it's fun and you get a couple of nice jump scares, and to experience that with the audience is really cool. But like you kind of forget about it almost immediately. It doesn't like linger
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
sort of infect your thoughts the way like a slow burn horror film does, where you can't stop thinking about it and you kind of want to because it makes you really paranoid, sometimes. So yeah, that's my favorite kind of horror by far.
Yeah. Especially because Ethan lives alone in the dark.
It's not true.
Actually, a lot of people think where I live is kind of scary.
It
I know
really
Ethan.
is.
Ethan thinks that.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Well, your
I live.
background.
I live on an open plain with virtually no neighbors and no one around to hear you scream and all that. And it- and at night the strange sounds that come across. I think Ethan, you heard the how that yowling.
Yeah. It was like during the day too, which somehow made it like eerier because, I didn't feel as alone when I got out of the car when I just like pulled into your like driveway. I think the times that I've like, visited to hang out like at night, the moment I step out of the car, I already kind of feel like on edge or just sort of looking over my shoulder, because again, it kind of is in the middle of nowhere and you know, like
Yeah,
no offense, but like it is.
it
And
is in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, and you just, it's so dark out, there's barely any light, you have like the light at your porch, but that's kind of it. And I kind of get the feeling that I get when I watch your films where I'm like I feel like I'm not alone. I feel like someone is watching me right now, who shouldn't be.
We
Yeah.
actually have some good questions for you, and we've talked a lot about your films and some of the devices you use. And my buddy Ethan Korpinen here is a lot more familiar with the technical side. But um, I noticed that you use an object in a lot of your films. That there's something like well, the lamp, for example, or the jar with the black lagoon. I really want to talk about that film too. The dark water. That one, it just fascinates me how scary that is for 4 minutes. Is that something that you like to do to kind of use as a focus?
I don't know if that's the first thing I'm thinking about is like
Yep.
what object can we make scary here for this film? But I will say I think the lantern in particular that did spark the idea for Remnant. When I film my films in Seattle alone,
Hmm.
I really turn to like whatever I have around the house and whatever I see, I try to make something out of that. So that really did start from the lantern there. But I don't know if that's the approach I take for every single one. I don't even remember how the jar came to be,
Such
but
a
that is,
fascinating little concept for a movie.
Mm.
thank you. Yeah.
Where did you where what I would like to hear actually kind of your thought process. Do you remember how you got the idea for that or
For
for Dark
the
Water?
jar, the
Yeah.
dark water.
Mhm.
I don't know. I do remember though I was on a really tight time crunch for that idea. Um, I guess the only thing I remember was in the apartment I was in at the time, I just was like going through my kitchen and we had a jar. I think it was like from leftover pasta sauce I was making or something. I saved the jar for some reason. But I don't know exactly how I thought of like a dark liquid in there getting like lighter and um releasing like some entity when it's open. I don't really remember.
Is that is that what was happening at least kind of outside of the film looking in? Is it the entity is released whenever you open the jar?
Yes, that's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the liquid going from dark to light is its exit. What was she supposed to do? That's what
So yeah, I'm trying to remember this film a little
oh
bit because it has
no.
been
I didn't mean
it
to
has
put
been
you
a
on the
little bit.
spot.
No, you're good. I believe there's like a very small shot of a her phone,
Right, right,
where she
right.
looks at her phone.
Yes.
Probably could have been held on screen for a little bit longer, but the premise is she has to leave the jar open long enough so that the water turns clear.
Right.
But whenever the jar is open, the entity that was in the jar tries to attack her. So somehow she has to keep it open long enough to let it escape and have the water clear, but get clear. But it's kind of hard to do that if she's being attacked while that's happening.
Yeah,
That's why
that
she wants to close
Interesting.
the jar all the time.
so
Yeah.
is Alyssa trying to kill her? That's what the friend that
Because
Yeah.
she asks her to like look
it's
over
like,
the
Yeah.
jar.
hey,
Yeah.
hey, do this favor for me. It's like, what a horrible favor.
That's a whole nother story, a whole nother film that can be explored.
You could totally expand
Yeah.
upon that if you made like a longer form like version of
For-
that story where it's like
no
is the
joke.
friend trying to get back at her for something or you know
That's a great idea for another film, actually,
Yeah.
is the backstory
The
of
prequel.
Alyssa, and what is she up to? Where's she getting entities?
yeah, how did she
Um,
obtain the
There
jar?
you
That'd
go.
be interesting. Yeah.
she's on
Don't
that
hang around
college
Alyssa.
campus. She's got some creepy old professor helping her, and they
Yeah.
are capturing demons or something in jars.
Maybe she uses the lantern from Remnants and discovers this like, age-old like wizard who
It's
crafts
part of the greater
the liquid,
multiverse.
you know
It's
what I
all a
mean? Just
universe. Yep.
yeah, it makes a potion or something. I don't know.
The Hunt cinematic universe. They're
There
all
you go.
connected. They're all the films are connected. Well, I just was curious, and so you mentioned that um, the the lantern was the source of the kind of the remnant idea. Um, do you usually start with a like the end in mind, or I mean, do the ideas kind of come from lots of different places? As a writer, I don't even know how I would answer that question. Sometimes I get annoyed when people ask people, "Where do you get your ideas from?" That's kind of ridiculous, but is there kind of a process for you when like you said, you're on a deadline, and that can really bring out the genius in all of us when we've got to make something. What do you think?
I will say I think the best way to get ideas is just to like live your life, and you will get ideas when you least expect them. The hardest time to get ideas is when you're actually thinking, and when you're like trying to get ideas, that's the hardest time.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
100%.
you can't always wait around. Sometimes you need the ideas fast. So I think the things that really work for me are like really long walks. There's
Mm.
like a some hikes near my house that I sometimes will just go and just walk and get into a headspace where I don't really think about anything. Um, and I feel like if my brain is not really working, then it is, well, it is working in the background, just helping me think a little bit. And usually I will get like a little, like a small little part of an idea that I will then develop over the next couple of days or weeks or whatever. Um, but I think, yeah, I think I tend to get a lot of ideas when I just don't do anything, um, and just kind of let the mind wander. But that being said, I get most of my ideas from just going about my life, I think.
It's something that I tell my students a lot, and I think one of the biggest problems we have in our culture right now is there is no time to be bored, that there's so much stimulation and things coming at us, and it's when you're bored that you actually really get to tap into your imagination. I used to be inspired by the time I would spend with headphones on mowing the lawn, and just that process. I'm actually thinking of all these different story ideas and things like that. So I'm going to ask a much more interesting question. I really already regret that I asked you where ideas come from. That's a pet peeve of mine, and I asked you that. But I guess what I'd like to know is, are there things you don't want to do in your movies?
Yeah, I mean, there are some horror cliches that, when I watch horror movies, I just kind of get a little bit disgusted, and I'm like, I hope
Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
yeah, me too. Yeah, yeah.
So I think one really common thing for short films is that the whole thing is just a build up to a jump scare that then just like cuts to credits at the end. I think that I'm not a huge fan of. I feel like, I mean, if you're just making a scare sequence, that's fine, of course. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't think I would want to do that. I'm not a huge fan of I guess we're getting into the small details, but or like using music too much in a horror like sequence when the music kind of leads the
Yes.
audience along,
Yeah.
tells the audience what's happening or what's going to happen.
Like
Yeah,
the attention sting and the violin that's trilling higher and higher until you know that something's about to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm with you 100%. I hate those cliches. I mean, we can think of examples where they worked in maybe
mhm,
some really good movies, but it's like um, I really like the dead air surprise where you don't know something is about to happen and the shot is not telegraphing that something is about to jump out or that sort of thing.
It can be a little overly like manipulative when the music is
Yeah,
just leading you on. Like it's like when you're watching a sad movie and the music is like literally basically telling the viewer like this is where you should be crying.
be
Like
sad.
yeah,
Yeah,
be sad. Yeah.
there's so many film soundtracks that I love, and yet whenever and I think it's probably horror movies in particular, and maybe some sci-fi, where I kind of wish for some silence or even just diegetic sound,
yeah,
atmospheric sound,
mhm,
and let the suspense build without any clues. Um, so you don't have any, and I really mean that in a wide open way. You don't have any specific things that you say, I don't want to make a movie about this because it doesn't interest me. There's not any topics like that for you.
Like in horror specifically,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
all
yeah,
Or the
genres of
reverse
horror
of that too, where
specifically?
if maybe
yeah.
there's like a sub genre of horror that you haven't explored yet that you maybe want to explore in the future. Because I've noticed like most of your films kind of delve into like the supernatural,
Yeah.
usually revolving around like an artifact or
Mhm.
like a relic of some kind, like that just an object of some kind that manifests the um supernatural force and the stories. So I was wondering like is there like any I guess like I don't know, do you want to explore zombies, like serial killers, like vampire, is anything like that, aliens, just any other type of horror I guess that you want to kind of explore if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I would never, I think, cut off a genre completely, a subgenre completely, and say like I'm never gonna do
Oh, come on,
zombies
just
or
tell us you're
something
not going
like
to make a
that.
zombie movie.
Yeah, I
We
would
have
do a
enough of
zombie
those, I
movie.
think. Yeah.
Right now, though, I am currently doing pre-production for a more of a psychological horror movie. Um, I'm shooting it in April, and it's kind of the least like supernatural horror movie I've done. Has like little supernatural elements, but it is something I've wanted to do. It's more character centric and has more of an arc and more of a
Cool.
story, I think, than some of my other
Nice.
ones. So I'm really excited about that. But I mean, I would do anything, honestly, I feel. But I will say, I probably not like slashers.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
just not my area of expertise. I love,
Totally.
I mean, I don't know if this is considered a slasher, but I just saw Primate. Have you guys seen that?
I've heard of it, but I've not
Yeah.
been able to see it.
No, I don't
It
guess I
just
have
came
to.
out. It's quite heavy on the gore, I would say, and
Mm.
it's super entertaining. I just don't know if I would be on the other side. But I would never, I don't want to write that out.
I think also a
Uh,
lot of that's just, execution based as well. Because like you'll have something like, say, the original Saw movie, which compared to like the
mhm.
sequels is much more, I don't know, it's much more focused on like the psychological toll that the main characters that are trapped are going through. Because like there's not a lot of like visible gore in that movie. Like even the famous scene where the main character has to like basically saw his own foot off because it's chained and it's his only way of escaping. They cut away to his face almost immediately. And you don't see anything, but you see the pain on his face as he's making this like really hard decision. And I think it makes something like that so much more effective, where it's letting like it's leaving it, up to the audience's imagination. Because I think the audience is always going to think of something more disgusting than um, something that a filmmaker can show them. Which, by the way, that kind of leads me to my next question, because a lot of your films have to do with characters that are kind of trapped in a singular environment, and they're often by themselves, there's no um, there's no like supporting cast. They really have no, I don't know, outside source of like help. They're truly on their own for pretty much the entire runtime. They've their own instincts to depend on, and um, there's just no one there to save them. And I'm wondering, like, when you're, I guess, writing like a scenario for a horror film, are you trying to tap into more, I guess, universal fears like fear of the dark, fear of being alone, right, in a house or something like that? Or are you trying to maybe draw from something more personal, um, that you're personally afraid of, that you just think where you're like, I want to make like a horror short that would scare me.
I think I would say a mix of both because
Okay.
I think if you're going to make a film, like if it works for you, it's probably going to be working for other people. Like if you make something that you want to see or that you think is scary, like odds are other people are going to agree. And you're going to find an audience there. So if something is scary to me, I usually try to figure out why. Like, why is it scaring me? And that goes if I'm watching something and something is really getting me, then obviously something is working. And I try to incorporate whatever that is into my next thing that I'm doing. Um, but as far as the single character goes, the fear of being alone thing, that is mostly out of necessity because I am an only child, and I live in Seattle, and in the city where I live in, there is no film community at all. So if
Mm.
I am going to make something, there's not many actors to pull from, I will say. So that kind of just forces you to do, like a single character piece, which I think works very well in horror. But yeah, I guess every single one of the films I have does tackle that fear of being alone.
That actually kind of leads me to my follow-up question. You often, or at least in your earlier films, you'll often play the lead. And if there's like a monster involved, like you'll kind of wear many hats and play both characters, like in Night Whispers, for example. I understand like at the beginning this was kind of done out of necessity because you didn't really have access to a pool of actors. Did you kind of almost like develop a relationship with acting where like I actually started to really enjoy this and want to continue casting myself in my films?
I do not recommend acting in the same thing you're directing at all.
Good
If
advice.
you can avoid that, I would not recommend that. I think every film I've done here has involved other actors because I just think if you can make a film not alone, like there's no reason to make the film alone. Like working with people is going to make your film better. Working with other actors takes that extra hat off of you, so you can just worry about directing and they can worry about the performance. Every but then when I do go back over the summer and I want to shoot something, I'm kind of back into that problem I've always had of where I'm just alone in my where I live. So if I do want to make something, I will have to be acting in it. But I definitely prefer working with actors, and there are really good actors here at USC. They have a really good program here. So I've been of course, going around, and I found a really good. I think an Empty Room and Dark Water are the ones I have
Mhm.
Mhm.
up there. Those are both, I think, talented actors that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted to put. Yeah,
yeah, for sure. And I've said this to several people when talking about you that you as an actor, you really do have a talent for appearing to be afraid. You're very convincing.
thank
Um,
you.
I would say that the actress in Dark Water, yeah, she's on screen for such a short amount of time, and yet we're all right there with her, you
Mhm.
know. But yeah, you found some talented people. We were joking about your cinematic universe, but is there?
Back to this.
Yeah, but not really, not really.
Okay.
Is there? Do you see when you look back at your films? Because I'm sure, they're your children, your precious babies. Um, do you see an evolution in your films, and do you see yourself going in a certain direction with them? Or would you say, well, each one just kind of stands on its own and it was a product of the circumstances and the time in my life? Or do you recognize, like, hey, if I were making um, Spare Body again today, what would I do different? Like, is that something that you think about?
I have actually not seen a lot of them in a very long time. I think you just mentioned the first film I put up on YouTube. It would take a lot of effort for me to have to watch that again.
Oh,
Um,
no.
that's just, and that's not, I feel like that's a very natural thing. A lot of
It
I can
filmmakers,
is.
totally
especially,
It's
relate to that. Yeah.
entirely natural.
um,
Entirely
yeah,
natural.
There's definitely a lot of things. If I were to do that film again, I would do differently. But I still think that I mean, you're right. They do show that's what I did at that time, and that's the filmmaking kind of those are the filmmaking like techniques I used at that time, and it is good to see. I think that I don't think I'm making the same film as Spare Body today.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I have to rewatch it. I don't really remember too much about
Soul
it.
Soul Casket.
Um,
That's the one I haven't mentioned that one, but that's one of your older ones, right?
yes, that was filmed. I think just a couple months after Spare Body,
Mm.
even though it came out like a lot later. That was filmed like right after Spare Body, I believe.
Can you tell us anything about your new project?
My new
Or
project?
is it under wraps? Or I mean,
Well,
it's
I have
okay.
no, it's okay. I have a couple. I have one that I shot last summer in 2025. And that one is pretty much done. That like it's assembled, but I have not done sound on it yet or color. But that is another short that will probably come out in the second half of this year.
Oh, okay.
Um, and then I'm working on something for my university, which I'm directing in April. And that is a larger scale production with a lot of other people working on the film, not just myself. So it's going to be so much better. But I've
That's
been
the
writing that.
psychological horror movie that you were
Yeah,
talking
it's
about.
more of a psychological horror movie.
Nice.
And that I don't know about the future of that, but I will be directing it in April, and I'm really excited about that.
Now, is that a feature length?
No, it is a short. It's a
Oh, okay.
very I think it's yeah, it's a very short movie.
Oh man. I
Just
was
more ambitious
excited.
though, right? Like because you have like a full crew this time, and
Yeah, it'll be a yeah, it's a larger scale production, which I'm
nice.
excited.
Back to the whole like I guess wearing many hats thing where you were with your earlier projects kind of taking on every role. Um, One thing I really wanted to clarify here was I can picture like you setting up the camera like when you're getting like a static shot, right? Like for Night Whispers or Remnants. I saw you use the GH5 by the way for Night Whispers. Great camera by the way. Shout out GH5. But you know, and you're able to like get the static shot and just go in front of the camera after hitting record, right? And then get the take. But then you also have these shots like on a dolly track, right? And then you have handheld shots. I'm wondering like is someone else has to be operating the camera for those, right? And I'm just wondering like how you're able to pull those off when you're in actor mode. And I can see how you're able to do it all when you're, I guess, just doing like a static shot, where the camera's not moving. But when there's a shot that's moving, what kind of tricks are you using, or do you have someone kind of operating the camera for those shots?
Well, for Night Whispers, every handheld shot in there, it does not have anyone in it. And it's just me holding the camera. So that's
Gotcha.
kind of the thing, is it really you do limit yourself a lot when you are wearing all those hats, because there are times where I would be like, I need a handheld shot of myself. And you just can't do that, which is really unfortunate. But um, any shot with movement in Night Whispers is myself behind the camera holding that. I even did something I built. I think it's for Soul Casket, where there's like a dolly and it's going backwards, and it's like a tracking shot of myself walking forward with the box. I had just like a pole that I was holding, and I was just
Mm.
pushing the dolly along while I was acting in front of it. So those little tricks, I guess, help kind of create the illusion that there might be some more
Right.
going on. But I really do wish I could put more handheld shots in there because I think handheld shots are great because they really put you into the perspective of whoever's on screen.
Back when I was just making like, short films with my friends, we would have to kind of work around like a lot of limitations. Like 99% of the stuff that we shot was just at our houses when we just would get together to hang out. And like it would kind of like expand from there, but it was really just like if I ever shot at another location, it would just be because of some connection I had where it's like I shot a scene like at a hospital for a project in high school, but that's just because my dad's a doctor, so I had access to a
Mm.
hospital. Now that you're not really working with a lot of the limitations that you had before, how, do you plan on expanding, I guess, or developing your style or voice? Like, are there any ideas that you maybe wanted to explore with your previous films, but you just felt like, this project, I can't go that ambitious with it, otherwise I wouldn't do it right. Or do you feel like you're able to do that now? Or are there any ideas that you want to explore now that you couldn't before? If that makes
Yeah, absolutely. I think it does take a lot of adjustment mentally because whenever I was writing something in the past, I would kind of have to write it like if I don't know exactly how I'm going to do this on the page,
Mhm,
like I
mhm.
can't write it. And
Yeah.
then that really changes, I think, once you have more people working on the film, when you have access to more locations, you kind of get more leeway to be I wouldn't say more creative because you can get pretty creative with limitations, but you just have more opportunities to do different things. And I still find myself when I write, like you get like still having that mindset of like if I don't know how this is happening, like I'm not writing it. But there are ways to, I mean, with more resources to do some of those things. So it does take some adjustment, I think, from always having that resource oriented mindset to having more of a like think outside of the box type of mindset where you can do more than what you think. But it is the balance because you also don't want to write like stuff that is never going to be made either. So I think it really is a balance, and I've definitely tried to adjust more. But then I still will go home. Like last summer, I went home and I filmed another short, and all those limitations came back. Like I was the only actor again, one house and everything. So um, it really depends on the project, I think.
By the way, I do know some people in Seattle. If you're looking for some actors sometime, some extras or something, let me know because I've got some people specifically in mind. I think they're actually in Bothell or maybe Everett,
Mhm.
but around Seattle, that might be able to jump in and help you out sometime.
That is
Uh,
true. And then I actually did, I think a couple years ago, I found another filmmaker actually
oh,
in
good.
Seattle. I didn't even know. But and they were telling me how they were able to find some actors as well.
Ethan, thanks so much for talking with us. I want to ask you one last question because you've got this oeuvre of horror movies. What are some of your favorite horror movies?
Oh wow.
Or maybe you might want to say the ones that are that inspire you or influence you the most.
I think my, or at least one of my very top favorite horror movies is Talk to Me. It came out
Oh,
2023.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. I have really not seen a movie that felt that real, I think. Um, that movie really put you in the lives of these characters. It felt sometimes like you were watching a documentary. It felt so real. And because they felt so real, the horror felt so real. So
I
I thought that movie
really
was great.
enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did. I
Yeah,
really
I
enjoyed
saw that in the theaters with some friends, and it was pretty late too, so it really freaked us out. There weren't many people in the theater, and it was, you know, I definitely felt kind of uneasy walking out of the theater. Like, that was
Yeah,
pretty disturbing. Yeah.
for sure. It knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
It's very good. I will say also Barbarian is another one of my
Ooh, yeah.
favorites.
We were
Yeah.
talking about that earlier today. That
Uh-huh.
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
both really big fans of that director, Zach Kreger.
Yeah. Mhm.
Weapons, the latest one that he did, it was one of my favorite movies from last year. I thought that was,
Mhm.
I just really like the way he's able to kind of weave all these different storylines of characters into one sort of larger narrative framework. I think it's just really, that takes a lot of skill. That's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorites in the past few years. Long
Yeah.
legs
Long
and
legs.
though, I mean, I don't know if it's horror or not, but Mandy,
That
it's,
movie's weird.
I mean, Mandy,
Another Nicolas Cage horror adjacent film. Yeah,
masterpiece. It's Nicolas Cage at 11.
yeah. Which is
And
Nicolas Cage at his
if you
best.
have
Yeah,
not seen Mandy, that's what you need to watch
that's a
tonight.
good one. If you have a Shudder subscription, it's on that. I had one last question for you as well. Is there, I guess, any director that,
Mm.
really inspires you? Like they can be retired or working. Like, is there one filmmaker whose style that you not necessarily try to emulate, but like, you know, one that I guess helped you find your own style or voice?
Probably the biggest inspiration is I mean a lot, but I will say David Sandberg, who did Lights Out, Annabelle Creation. His whole story uh of his short being picked up um kind of propelled me on this path like way long ago.
All right.
Um, I was really young when I heard about that, and I was like, "That's how you get in and stuff." Then when I got older, I was like, "Okay, so his story is kind of an anomaly, I will say." But at that point, I was already too far into the horror filmmaking journey. But um, I think his journey and his filmography and just the way he creates a horror sequence. If you look at his sequences, they have a very, I think they have a distinct style, and I have learned a lot from the way he crafts his scares. And I mean, he has his own YouTube channel where he kind of dissects his own films, and that inspired me as well.
Yeah, his Lights Out short is really good. I think it might even be better than the like the feature length. I don't know. It genuinely is scarier. I don't know. I remember watching that one. I think it was like in middle school when it came out. I think it was like
Mm.
2013 when it was
I haven't
uploaded,
seen
right?
it.
I think it's one of the most viewed like short films of all time.
It's
It's
quite popular, yeah.
it's
Oh no, I
very
mean
popular. Yeah.
I actually mean the feature length.
Oh, I see.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
actually saw that first and then learned about what it was based on after I saw it. And
mhm.
I saw the short film, I think shortly after I saw the actual movie. And I was like, this
Oh,
is like even
really?
better.
I
There's
will tell
something to it.
you, Ethan, that what I've been doing the past year is keeping like an idea bank in Chat GPT. So what I'll do is just through my phone, say, hey, add this to my idea bank. And it could be so if I'm driving, I'm in traffic or whatever, or especially honestly, I wake up in the middle of the night from a nightmare and it's like, hey, idea
Horror
bank.
short.
My pajamas grew wings and flew away, and now now I'm
What kind of
exposed.
dreams are you having? What the hell?
Well, they're bad. They're all bad. Ethan Hunt, what a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for being generous with your time. We'll be sending you full funding for your next feature length picture as part of our promotions. but we're looking forward to seeing the next thing. I know I am. Well, when I first saw Night Whispers, the first thing I did was, besides subscribe to your YouTube channel, was look at all the other things you had done because I was really impressed. So um, we wish
Thank
you
you
all
so
the
much.
best,
Yeah. Best of
and
luck with your upcoming shoot too. I mean,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
really exciting.
absolutely.
You know, I'm
Thank you,
looking
and
forward to seeing that.
Thanks for joining us for this special episode of the podcast. Once again, we would like to thank our guest Ethan Hunt for joining us. We'd like to share the trailer for Ethan's most recent short film, Remnants. We hope you'll check out the full short film and the rest of the work on his channel. Thanks.